Trail Seeker Adventures heads to round 5 of the US Sprint Enduro at Hidden Valley Golf Course. The pros was hitting the track, and did I say it was a golf course? I throw on the goggles. I first head out on the cross test to show you what it's like to race a dirt bike on a old golf course. And then we head to the woods and show you what the Enduro has to offer. Of course, I make my stupid mistakes, but I do work my way to the finish. Come along and see what we got. It's Saturday morning and the youth is first to hit the track. They start out on the cross test and usually then go to the Enduro test, but unfortunately the combination of rain and mountains doesn't mix for all the youth. So they had to stay on the cross test for the rest of the weekend. And then it's time for the pros. The pros came out and made the track look easy. Michael came out, was trying to secure his championship, and Thad the Ball was back and looking fast. But Liam Draper was hot on his heels the entire weekend. And Johnny Gerard was trying to wrap up his championship on this weekend as well. The US Sprint Enduro usually tries to throw in a unique feature on each weekend, and this weekend it was a double moat jump. You had to jump the stream twice. Doesn't look like much of a jump, but when you're standing on it, it's a little scary looking. As the pros work their way back to the finish, it's time to get my helmet and goggles on and head back to the start. Now it's my turn. This will be the second time I hit the cross test. The first time I hit the cross test, I looked at the moat jump and said, nope, I'm not worried about it, I'm not doing it. But then I went and did the Enduro test and came back to the cross test and I was first. So now I have to hit it. So I'm sitting here, all I'm thinking about is, oh, I got to do a stupid double jump. So I am in the 40A class and I'm riding my 2020 Beta 430 RR Race Edition, and this is my second time on day 1 on the cross test. It looks like we're running through the woods, which we are at this moment, but they had to run us through the woods a little bit to get us over to the golf course. That's right, a golf course. A dirt biker's dream is always to go out and rip up a golf course. As I come down and hit the double moat jump, it wasn't bad at all. I've been this year trying to reduce the risk factor in racing dirt bikes. And my results has been showing that I am getting slower. I am getting older. I am not healing as fast as I used to. I feel more aches and pains from my old injuries. I've had friends that have gotten hurt in the past year. So all of this is starting to slow me down. And eventually I'm going to have to decide whether or not I'm going to be able to stay up front as I used to. But for now, I'm out here still ripping around on a golf course. Holy crap. Nobody ever thought you'd be able to bring some dirt bikes out and race across some awesome grass fields where people used to come out and beat the golf ball and then chase it. Doesn't sound that fun to me, but obviously there's a lot of people that likes going out and doing it. Now, we're getting ready to come across a old golf cart trail or path. These were very slick. As I said earlier in the video, we got a lot of rain the night before the race. And as you can see, there is a lot of off-camber grass turns on this particular property. So this is US Sprint Enduro, and the idea of it is to go out and do as fast of a lap as you can and make as few mistakes as possible. And whenever you got conditions like this, where any little wrong move can put you on the ground, sometimes going slower is faster. Of course, I feel like I'm going very, very slow most of the time on a cross test. A little step up jump. Of course, the camera never shows you how steep these up and downs are. Of course, we are in West Virginia, and there's really not a lot of flat areas to put a track. Most of the flat areas is where the parking and the camping is going on. But we all have the same conditions that we have to deal with. The off cambers. The one good thing for me, which I don't do very well in ruts, it really didn't get very ruddy. And as always, I'm going to get you a full cross test and a full enduro test on day 1, and then go ahead and get you a full cross test and a full enduro test on day 2. This weekend is a dual event, and you may say, what is a dual event? Well, what that is the US Sprint Enduro and the Sxcs series come together for this particular weekend. Both Saturday and Sunday, you're able to come out and run the US Sprint Enduro and then be in the running for the overall in your class. But only Sunday you get credit for but day 2, which is Sunday, whatever your results for that particular day will be your results for the Sxcs series. So if you win on Saturday and you get second on Sunday, you'll be able to put your time together in order to get your final results for the US Sprint Enduro. But no matter what, you'll get a second for the Sxcs series. Not confusing at all. Now we're coming to the area that I struggled just about every time. Until day 2, I kind of figured it out. But this section through here, I was able to keep up with my competition somewhat. But once I got to here, as the great Dave Redmond said, he could walk faster than what we was riding through here, because I knew I was slow. Once I come up out of there, all of a sudden I couldn't see my competition no more. So they obviously were faster through this section than I was. But I'd rather be slow and then slide out and wreck, and you really lose a lot of time that way. Unfortunately, we're still using the chest mount, and coming over that golf cart road, I bumped the camera. We're not too far from the finish, and that's kind of the reason why I picked the second cross test on day 1. Day 2, it got jacked up earlier in the test, and on test 3, it was raining and I didn't clean the camera off very well. We had a couple little I guess you could call them table jumps. I was hitting them kind of easy on day 1, got them a little better on day 2, but that's why I want to do the cross test and enduro, one on each day, so you can see the different conditionings or different conditions on the track. But I also want to say, in case this is your first time watching one of our videos, I always like to throw this out there. We are Trail Seeker Adventures. We bring our camera, 'em, to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all the events that we go to throughout the summer. We bring our camera to all We've been doing more race events just because most of the ride parks and those type of things are closed as at least last year. But we have been able to make it to Hatfield McCoy's. We went out west and checked out some trails out there. We've been into a indoor motocross park up in Butler, Pennsylvania. But we take our videos, our video camera, we take it to the track, and then that way when we bring it back, we can show you what that event or that ride park is all about. That way you know whether or not it's something you're interested in trying before you even load your bike. So make sure you like, subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss a single event that we go to, and that way you can maybe find something to where you're saying, yeah, I like to get my old 74 Yamaha out of the garage and go try that, because there is a class for that here at the US Sprint Enduro, as well the Sxcs. So that was test 2, which was a cross test on day 1. So I was also excited to have my son Damian. He called and said, hey, I would like to race this event. He always wanted to race the golf course. He was able to come out and he done very well. He got second on day 1 and third on day 2, but for the weekend he ended up second in the College Boy Open. And Heidi, she was able to come out and rip. She got second on day 1 and won day 2. So that will give her a first for the Sxcs, but a second for the US Sprint Enduro, which with that she wraps up her first AMA National Championship 40 plus. And I'm so excited and so proud of her. She's loving her new 2021 Beta Xtrainer, and she was able to fight through some tough conditions. She's not been riding for a long period of time, but I was excited to get her out and be able to get her to win her first championship. Now, we're on the this will be the first Enduro on day 1. And the reason why I picked that is because this guy right here, Mr. Johnson, I've been chasing him all summer. He's first in the points, I'm second in the points, and the way it pretty much lays out right now, I cannot catch him for the points or the championship, and the guy in third will not be able to catch me. I just got to be able to race one more event, which will be tomorrow. But for the first time this year, I was able to get up and actually catch him and pass him. So that was exciting for me. So that's why I picked this particular Enduro test, which was test 2, but it was the first test in the Enduro. So I went out for cross test 1. I came back and I think I was 4th. And that's with not jumping the moat jump. And now I am getting ready to take off on my first Enduro test on day 1. It's pretty slimy. Yesterday, Friday, the dirt was primo, but now we're heading up into the woods on some off-camber with roots and trying to go as fast as we possibly can without making mistakes. If you're on a mobile device, make sure you push that little red icon at the bottom of the screen on the right in order to subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss anything that we have coming up. This is off camber, but the US Sprint Enduro had to take out some of the more off camber sections. So there was a couple sections that we didn't get to run all weekend because of the rain. So now we're getting in the deep woods. Most of the trail that they had to cut out was on that first half mile, and now we're actually out here in the woods. This was a kind of a rocky downhill leading into a awesome creek. We was able to rip down the creek for a small section. Lots of fun, but somewhat scary. You never know when a rock's going to catch you. And I look up here and I see Mr. Brian Johnson. He must have had an issue. I've never caught this guy all summer. There's only one more round to go. So I thought, he must have had some issue somewhere. So I jump up here trying to get around him. Honestly, I was a little confused. I thought maybe he was having a flat tire or some other type of issue. Yes, I cleaned the camera, but it's not going to do much good because he's just going to fill my face full of dirt. This was a pretty fun uphill. Of course, it don't show how steep it is. I do pop a tear off here pretty soon. I think. And once we got to the top of the hill here, he went wide and gave me the inside line. At least I think he gave it to me, or he just didn't see it. But I was able to get around him, clean the camera off, and focus on getting to the finish. There's an inside line right there. I didn't take that because Brian was behind me and I didn't want him to see all the little shortcuts. So there was some of them I didn't take on purpose. I would like to say I lay my bike down here on purpose, that way he doesn't see all my little fancy lines, but unfortunately that's not the case. I just washed out the front end, he gets back around me, and now I gotta try to catch him again. The US Sprint Enduro crew laid out an awesome course. It It would have been better for most people if it was dry, but I kind of liked the mud. But you would have a difficult section, but then you would jump out here on a little bigger trail to give you a little bit of a break, and then back into a little more difficult section. Of course, you're in the mountains of West Virginia, and you're pretty limited to what options you have to get a trail ripping through the side of a mountain. But this coming up was one of the more difficult sections, and actually on day 2 they took this section out. So when you watch our next Enduro video, or my next Enduro, you'll see that this section is no longer in for day 2. And mostly because of the roots. It really wasn't that steep, but there are a lot of roots became exposed. So we're still climbing. I see Brian still up there. I'm starting to catch him somehow. I don't understand it. I usually start out decent and then get slower. I mean, I get faster, but I don't improve as much as this guy does. He just keeps getting faster and faster all weekend long. This was one of the most difficult sections throughout the weekend. It was an off camber with a lot of roots. We come out here and there's a couple downhills. I try a line that's obviously not faster. He goes right, I go left. But it was obviously not faster, but I had a line down here. This is the most I've seen this guy all summer. But he misses this little downhill section here. I was able to get back in front of him, and actually that will be the last time this weekend that I ever catch him. Somehow I do get faster throughout the weekend, but he just picks it up to a whole different level. And actually at the end of this day, day 1, he ended the day up 10 seconds faster than me for the day. So I ended up 3rd on day 1, and then on day 2 I ended up 4th. Sean Remington was able to get me out on the cross test. I was faster than him on the Enduro test, but he was faster than me on the cross test. And unfortunately for the weekend I ended up 3rd because I made enough time up on day 1 that Sean wasn't able to catch me for the weekend event. So for the US Sprint Enduro I ended up 3rd, but on day 2 I ended up 4th for the Sxcs series, which I am, and the points for that particular series as well. So I'm basically just going to let you watch day 2 without me jabbering. You already know the results. I'm going to let you watch the cross test. There's really nothing else to explain to you other than they took out one off camber on the cross test, and then they took off the Rudy uphill on the Enduro test. But I do want Heidi to have a chance to be able to talk about her weekend. So for right now, let's listen to her and see how her weekend went for her national championship.
So great job for the weekend, Kenny. I just wanted to take a few moments to talk about my weekend, which had plenty of ups and downs. And as you know, when you're a racer, sometimes you can be your own biggest competition. And on day 1, I definitely felt that. Did fine on the cross test, did really well. Got into the Enduro the first test, and I was like, what the heck? I kept messing up. I kept coming into lap traffic and lost my momentum, and I don't know what the heck was going on with me. So second enduro, I was like, nope, not doing it. I don't want to hold up the race. Felt like I was getting some pressure about getting off the racetrack. I don't know, but I really got into my head. Even though my good buddy AW was encouraging me to go on the track and knew that I could do it, I still doubted myself and skipped it. Then on the third enduro, I went out, basically beat my time by 20 minutes, was the fastest women 40 rider enduro test person, and finished the day second. So I knew I could do it, so it made me definitely have a really good attitude for day 2. Cross test was awesome. My Beta Xtrainer 300, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better bike. It did fine. It was good for what I needed to do. I felt very comfortable on it, and went out and won day 2 of the US Sprint Enduro, which obviously I missed the test, so I ended up second. But I won the Sxcs because I won day 2. So all said and done, for the US Sprint Enduro, I actually was able to secure the number 1 spot and win the championship. So I'm excited about that. It was my first time winning a dirt bike championship. Way back when I won a 4-wheeler championship at the Paul Coons race back in the day. But this is the first time I actually was able to do a whole series and come out on top. So pretty proud of that. So now we have to look forward to the Sxcs, the Pit Cross Series, the Maryland Championship, and one more Sprint Enduro. And I'm looking forward to it. Nancy and Billy did a great job. Excited because Nancy got her a new Xtrainer, so definitely want to get out and hit some dirt with her and check out some trails. So good weekend all in all, and thanks for everybody who was encouraging me and let me know that I could do it. And Bobby Joe and Kenzie and Nancy were all there, and all the course marshals were there cheering me on, and so it really made the day a lot of fun.
Good job, sweetie, and very proud of you. Now this is day 2, and this is the last cross test of the day. The track dried up quite nicely. Unfortunately, I still lost time to third on this particular track. This is one of my favorite turns. Beta 430 was feeling pretty good. I had to do a little bit of suspension adjustments. It was bottoming out the rear shock on some of these G outs. I went in with the high speed. That helped that situation. And then it was a little bouncy here and there, so I slowed down the rebound. But basically just a click here and click there, and that's all I did all weekend. So for the most part, she felt pretty good, and it's completely stock. The only thing I've added to this bike was obviously bark busters, a large tank. I think that's it, other than another set of tires. This bike is 100% stock. Damian's running my Beta 300. I had a problem with the battery, and I want to give Industry 13 a big shout out. He had one on his truck, and we was able to, he had to go out one test. It was a cross test and not install it because he came in, the battery shorted out, unfortunately, it's probably my fault because I had the power wire going to the starter grounded out or melted against the exhaust and was grounded out, and it screwed the battery up. So he went out and ran one test with a dead battery, did a good job, came back. Roman from Industry 13 was able to supply me a battery, and he was good for the rest of the weekend. They had taken out a off camber. This was the one that I struggled the most with, and I was hoping this was the one that they took out, but it was not. But I did find that there was a berm at the bottom finally, and I think I came around there a little faster than I did on day one. So as we come shooting through the pines, we hit this first little table jump. It's not really a table jump, but that's basically what it became. And I seen little Mr. Cheney down here rooting me on. Unfortunately, I disappointed him on that one because I didn't clear it. So I thought, well, this next one I'll give it a little extra throttle. And I think I overshot it a little bit. Landed flat, but that's what happens when you cheer me on. I might do something stupid in front of you. So as I wrap up the last cross test of the weekend, I come in, Mr. Sean Remington is sitting in third, and I think I was about 16, 17 seconds behind him going into the last test, and I thought maybe I possibly could make that up. So I went back, got rested, waited for my chance to go out and hit the enduro test, the last enduro test of the weekend. I'm glad that's over with. I'm glad that one's over with. That stupid jump stressed me out all day. We got a big hole in the middle of it. So here we are on the last test of the weekend. On day one, which was Saturday, Drake Smith was able to beat Brian Johnson. I was third. Sean Remington was fourth. Tim was fifth. Nick was sixth. Roman was seventh. Chris was eighth. And Joey was ninth. And now we are on day two. This is the last test of the day. And here on the last day, Brian was able to get back in front of Greg Smith. Sean Remington was able to get in front of me. Then it was Tim, Nick, Roman, Jeffrey, Chris, and Joey. That's the way we are lining up, and that's pretty much the way we end up finishing. I'm about 14, 15, 16 seconds behind Sean. I was going to try my best to make that up. I have to have a pretty good test in order to do that. So, unfortunately, he takes off. I start out my test pretty well, but I make a few dumb mistakes. I tried a few different lines that I thought that was faster that I hadn't used all weekend.
We'll do the same thing for the B riders when the B riders all clear the course. That's Group B Super Senior.
So my goal is to be as fast as possible and make as few mistakes as possible. The track is about as dry and as good as it has been the whole weekend. This is one of the few rock areas on the property. We come up through some slick rocks, come back down a little rocky downhill into the little rocky stream. Check out Tyler Hayes. He comes ripping down through here. One of these rocks flips up and kicks him completely over his bars. It's a pretty good video. Check his Instagram at Tyler Hayes. So I normally stay right there, stay close to the ribbon, but I've been seeing this line develop all weekend. Thought it was going to be faster. Nope, was not faster. Should have stayed in my original line, but that's the chance you take. I wasn't going to be able to make up 16 seconds unless I really tried something new or tried to twist the throttle a little harder. I even struggled going up this hill more than I did all weekend. Throughout the weekend I was able to jump left and right and miss these ruts, but unfortunately when it counted I messed up. This was a new line that developed throughout the weekend, but for the most part I basically was able to make up, I don't know, about 5 or 6 seconds on him, but it wasn't enough. He was able to finish third for the weekend, or third for the day. I think I was about 10 seconds back from him. I'm not sure. I think I make a bonehead move through here somewhere, but there was just little things here and there that I tried that didn't work out. But as far as the pros, Lane Michael was able to pull off the overall win, and also his first US Sprint Enduro AMA Championship. Thad Duvall was able to come in second Wish he was able to race the entire year. Liam Draper was able to finish third. And then on the Pro 2, Johnny Gerard was able to pull off his win for his class and also win his championship. And then I believe Ben Nico and then Evan Smith rounded off the podium. And then the Pro Women, first place was Brandy Richardson. Tyler Jones was able to come home second, but was able to secure her championship for the Pro Women. And then on the podium, Rachel Archer was able to finish third for the day. Good job to all those pros. It's so fun to have them out here so we can watch them make this particular course especially, but all summer they was able to make these look easy. I'm sure they're right on the edge. I know several of the pros had talked about crashing, so it's a dangerous sport, but it's awesome to have them out here so we can watch and see how fast they can go. So this is where they bypassed the Rudy uphill. We would have went right there. Instead of that, they ran us straight up over the hill. And now we're turning back onto the track. So we really didn't miss much other than a nasty little Rudy hill that caused a lot of problems for some of the other sea riders and such. Little off-camber hill. That was probably the most challenging part of this track for the weekend, was the off-camber, muddy, Rudy off-camber hills. And one of the worst was not even a hill. Once we got to the top of the property right here, we turned left, and unfortunately it was pretty off-camber. I took this right lane. I should have been taking the left lane all weekend, but right here where AW was setting, a lot of people got stuck coming through here. It was just off camber with a lot of roots. So we're coming back down across the motocross track. There wasn't a lot of jumps over here on the Enduro test, which I'm okay with. I enjoy jumping. I just don't like doing it on race day for some odd reason. If we was out here with a bunch of friends, I'd go out here and do it, but for some odd reason on race day, I don't like jumping. I don't understand why. Same way with standing up. If I'm out riding with friends and family, I'll stand up all day, but as soon as it gets serious, my butt gets glued to the seat. I know that's wrong, but I appreciate all you guys watching our videos. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. That way I know we're doing something that's useful. I've had several people comment as far as being able to, you know, watch the course, being able to show their friends and family what they were able to do. But I want to give a big thanks to the US Sprint Enduro for all the hard work that they do so we can come out, and also the military. This was Memorial Day. A lot of people had died, and sacrifice the ultimate sacrifice so we can come out and do the things we do. Make sure you like, subscribe to our channel, and once again, thanks for watching.
That's a wrap.
Here is where you can subscribe to our channel. Just push the logo in the middle of the screen. Thanks for watching.